I have created the perfect player in the Philippines, and I am going to give him a 100-year career to see what the perfect player can do if he plays for 100 years. And here is our perfect player. I have made him Filipino and 15 years old, starting off at Mendiola in the Philippines Football League, although I'm sure he won't be there long. I have given him 20s for all attributes. I've also made him a striker because I think it'll be more interesting if we see all the goals that he can score over a 100-year period. And of course, I have frozen his attributes so that we are going to keep those attributes over the course of our 100-year period. As far as nations are concerned, I have made him Filipino and declared for the nation. So hopefully we see like thousands of international caps and goals. And finally, looking at his hidden attributes, I have given him perfect hidden attributes. So as we see here, he is a model citizen and both-footed. So we have the perfect player here. We are going to give him a 100-year career, and we're going to see what the perfect player can do over the span of 100 years. And I just realized you might be wondering, how am I going to make it so that the perfect player plays for 100 years without retiring? Well, all I'm going to do is change his age, and you can just do that by going into the in-game editor and changing his birthday. So I'll continue making him younger, maybe every 15 years or so. I'll make him 15 years old again, and we'll just continue on with his career from there. So we're starting off in July 2022. The perfect player is 15 years old. So I think we're going to go forward. We have 100 years. We'll make a few pit stops in those 100 years. Why don't we go to where his career might have ended? So why don't we go forward to, I don't know, when he was like 30, 34 years old? And at that point where I'll rewind his age, but let's see what one perfect player career might look like, and then we'll move forward from there. So I'm going to simulate forward until he's probably in his 30s, and then I will see you all then. Welcome back. We are on 2037. The perfect player is now 30 years old, and the reason I've gone here is because he's going to be retiring from international duty, so I wanted to get him to unretire him from international duty and get him to go back. But right now, 139 caps and 180 goals for our perfect player for the Philippines. He has been absolutely nuts for the Philippines, but I think we can also see he is now at PSG, making £625,000 per week. Absolutely nuts. And he is no longer at Mendiola. But let's look at his career stats and see how he's done then. Well, he pretty much went from Mendiola straight to PSG, and he has been with PSG ever since, doing some absolutely amazing things. 379 league appearances, 424 goals, 151 assists, 138 Player of the Match awards. He's essentially averaging one Player of the Match award every 2 games, and an absolutely insane average rating, 7.99, almost 8.0. And he's getting crazy goals per season. This might be the best perfect player experiment I've ever done. I've done a few perfect player experiments, but this one might be the most impressive. Let's look at his milestones. I mean, he's winning everything. European Golden Best Player in Europe, Asian Footballer of the Year, World Player of the Year, World Footballer of the Year. We'll definitely look at some of those. What? UEFA Super Cup Champions League winner. Have they not won the league? I'm a little confused. Champions League winner, we'll look at that. Has PSG not won the league? So looking at their history, let's go to League One Uber Eats. So PSG has won pretty every league title, but for some reason it's not showing up in the perfect player's biography, which is a little interesting because he definitely would have won those awards. Yeah, that's weird. But looking at what he's won, he didn't win anything at Mendiola, but they've won the Champions League 3 times. They've won the Champions League twice, runner-up twice, also runner-up in the Club World Championship. They did win the UEFA Super Cup twice as well, and they've won every single league title. So unsurprisingly, the perfect player has been absolutely insane, racking up a huge number of trophies. We can look at here. Let's see what he's won. So he was the Philippines Football League Player of the Year every league that he was there. League top goal scorer as well, Young Player of the Year, Asian Young Footballer of the Year, Next Gen, UEFA Champions League forward of the season, European Golden Shoe 9 times. Wow, that is nuts. World Under 21 Footballer of the Year. Unsurprisingly, he's won the Asian Footballer of the Year pretty much every single year. Golden Boy. I'm curious to see, yep, World Footballer of the Year. Unsurprisingly, he's Kylian Mbappe won it a number of times, and then the perfect player came in and absolutely has dominated the World Footballer of the Year, World Player of the Year as well, best player in Europe. The Ballon d'Or, he's absolutely dominated. He won it for the first time, it looks like, in 2029, 2030, and hasn't lost out since. He's been absolutely insane. This is pretty much exactly what we expect from the perfect player. Well, that is what the perfect player has done in his first 15 seasons. I'm going to rewind his age and we're going to see where he goes from there. So we're in 2037 now. Why don't we go maybe 20 or so ish years into the future and let's see how he's looking then. Welcome back. I have also rewinded his age again a little bit. But the perfect player is now at Manchester City in 2057. And an unfortunate consequence that I've seen is it doesn't seem like we're able to track his caps, international caps and goals, unfortunately, because it keeps restarting for some reason. I haven't been able to. It's like every time I rewind his age, it seems like his caps go down and sometimes his goals go down. So unfortunately, we won't be able to keep track of that. But imagine if he actually did have 17 caps and 123 goals. He has been injured a little bit. His bravery's down to 19. But otherwise, we'll see what we've got. So right now he's at Man City. Let's look at his career stats. And he's been at Man City for a while. So it seems like his contract at PSG ended in 2042-43. After that, he went to Manchester City. And he's absolutely dominated in the English Premier Division. My word. Looking at it right now, in essentially 25 seasons, he's almost reached 1,000 goals, 924 goals, 371 assists, 304 goals, 7.83 overall rating. I think we're going to see the perfect player get to 1,000 goals pretty soon. Looking at his milestones, I mean, he's just continuing to win everything. Champions League, Premier Division, Community Shield, FA Cup, Premier Division. I mean, it's almost too much to see. Maybe if we just look at the competitions here. So we see Champions League winners, Premier Division. I mean, they're winning the EPL every year. They've won the Champions League a number of times. Surely City's just winning the EPL every year at this point. Looking at the past winners, they've been absolutely dominant ever since the perfect player has come around. They have just dominated the Premier Division. Jeez. All right. Keeping go. I mean, they're just winning they're winning everything. Club World Championship, Champions League. Looking at the past winners, I mean, City have been dominant. So it seems like since 2047-48, City have really dominated the Champions League. They weren't winning much until then, actually. That's interesting. So the perfect player went to them, I think we said in 2042. So they made the final twice and lost, but then after that, the perfect player is just really must have helped them out because they have been absolutely insane. And of course, we also need to look at some of the Player of the Year awards. So starting in Europe, we look at the Golden Shoe and the perfect player, man. There was this guy Andreu has actually done. He's retired. He was pretty insane for a while, but the perfect player has won most of them while he was at PSG. I mean, he was winning all of them. He had a little bit of competition, it seems like, since he's moved to Manchester City, but certainly in recent years, he has been the dominant force there. Looking at the Best Player in Europe award, naturally, I mean, the perfect player is winning it almost every year. He is absolutely insane. And the Golden Boy, which is probably kind of funny because the perfect player will have won this multiple times over the years. So you can see the perfect player winning it in 2054, as well as in 2040, as well as in 2026. So the perfect player has actually won the European Golden Boy multiple times just as a result of me making his age a little bit lower. But that's what we've got for Europe. Let's look at the World Player of the Year awards. So looking at some of the world awards, of course, the Footballer of the Year, the perfect player. as always, just completely dominant here. Looking at the goal 50, perfect player, again, dominant there. The next gen is interesting. Did the perfect player, yep, the perfect player had it multiple times while at PSG and again at Manchester City. Did he have it in his first spell? And he did have it in his first spell. It's funny just to see him winning this award multiple times. Same for the under 21 footballer of the year, the perfect player winning it multiple times. You can actually see every time that I lowered his age because this is when he's winning those awards as he's won it absolutely multiple times. But Ballon d'Or, of course, the perfect player absolutely dominating the Ballon d'Or. I'll be really curious to see how many times he wins. Wow, World Player of the Year is insane. I'll be curious to see how many times he wins these awards. And of course, he's going to be in the World Team of the Year almost every year. But it'll be really curious to see how many times he wins these awards. I mean, he could win this probably like 50 times if we're going 100 years. I could see him winning 50, maybe even 60 these awards. So let's see what happens. Well, we're in 2057 right now. I think you guys see the concept. I'm just kind of simulating forward, knocking down the perfect player's age and continuing forward. But we're going to 100 years. Why don't we go to the end and see what the perfect player did over his 100-year career? So I'm going to simulate forward to 21, 22, 23, and let's see what the perfect player did in that time span. See you all in a lot of years. Welcome back. We're actually in the year 2125, so we are 103 years into the future. I ended up stepping out, so I ended up doing another 3 years to the simulation. But we have a 103 career for our perfect player, who is just 31 years old, and he's still playing at Manchester City. So he only ended up playing for 3 clubs, Mendiola, PSG, and Man City from the looks of it. And he did get some injuries, so his bravery was knocked down a little bit. But overall, it looks like we're finishing with 169 caps and 237 goals. Obviously, he had much more caps and goals. That's absolutely insane. We'll look at his Filipino career at the end of this to see if the Philippines ever might have made a World Cup or whether he played in a World Cup or what they might have won. But we are going to see what he did. So let's look at his career stats. And it looks like in the last few years, he actually hasn't done quite as well. Maybe that's as a result of his injuries, but he certainly, oh wow, he never had single digit goals. He had double digit goals every single year. This is insane. Oh, he only played 10 games this season. He must have gotten injured. I did have his injury proneness at 1, but obviously sometimes just players get injured. You're going to have that in a 100-year career, I suppose. But if we scroll all the way down, how many goals do we think he scored? I think he could have gotten well over 1,000, maybe 1,500? Looking at it, 2,741 goals. Oh, and that's just league goals. That's not even every goal he scored. So he made 3,374 league appearances, 2,741 goals, 1,152 assists, 885 Player of the Match awards, and a 7.74 average rating. What an absolutely insane career! It's just really strange, like scrolling through and just seeing all the seasons he played. I didn't even know that Football Manager could go this high. I'm glad that it didn't restart like the international caps did, but that is insane. It'd be so cool if like Football Manager, if we could see like add up all the goals he scored across his career. But 2,741 goals. I think over a 100-year career, that is pretty insane. It's actually because it's 100 years and there's so much for this player. It's taking so long for me to like bring things up. But let's see what he did. I mean, can we really go to, we'll see what he did as far as just recent milestones. But again, Champions League, EPL winners. Why don't we just look at the Premier Division? Let's go to history and past winners. Man City is dominated. The perfect player has been a part of every one of these seasons. They are insane. Man City has won like every single EPL title. That is nuts. I think we just skip the milestones at this point. Let's just go straight to the biography and let's see what we've got. So we had our failure in 2022, and let's see. He made his debut. He actually made his debut much earlier, but clearly the international caps didn't work very well. So it has his debut in 2102, making 169 appearances, 237 goals. We do know that he had much more than that. So looking at what he's got, so this is crazy because it says he has 242 competition wins throughout his career. But remember, all of the domestic wins with PSG are not included with that. So we don't have any of the Ligue 1 or like the French Cup or the French Super Cup. So we would need to add that to his current total. But in 100 years, he won the English Community Shield 53 times, the Carabao Cup 26 times, the FA Cup 25 times. I mean, the Super Cup all of these times, the Champions League all of these times. Let's look at the Champions League. I mean, he won so many. He won it 3 times, 4, 5, 6 times in a row. I mean, they've been dominant. He won it 6 times in a row at one point. 10 Club World Championships. And he won the Asian Nations Cup with the Philippines. The Philippines won the Asian Nations Cup with the perfect player. Oh, we're going to look at that later, but that is awesome. And 65 English Premier Division titles. What an insane career. And that doesn't even touch everything that he won individually. So we saw earlier how many times he won. He won the Philippines Football League Player of the Year, Top Goal Scorer, Young Player of the Year, Asian Young Footballer of the Year, Next Gen on 14 occasions, Young Footballer of the Year on 14 occasions, 77 Champions League forward, Golden Shoe on 59 occasions. I'm really hoping to see like 50 Ballon d'Ors. Let's see, UEFA Champions League Golden Boot, World Football of the Year. So World Football of the Year on 52 occasions, World Player of the Year on 81 occasions, Best Player in Europe 65, Ballon d'Or 65 Ballon d'Ors, the perfect player. Wow. 64 goal 50s, Club World Championships, English Footballer of the Year, Player of the Year, EPL Top Goal Scorer, Asian Nations Cup Most Valuable Player, World Cup Best Young Player. Oh, so they got to a World Cup too. Wow. Okay, we will look at his Filipino career, but 65 Ballon d'Ors. Wow. So again, I just wanted to see this is what 65 Ballon d'Ors looks like. From 2106 to 2120, he didn't lose once. Wow. This is what... Could you imagine? Oh, wow. There was actually someone who was better than him for a long period of time. Raimon, he must have had a current ability of 200 as well. Because he was insane. The fact that anybody rivaled the perfect player, that is really interesting. But this is what 65 Ballon d'Ors looks like, because the perfect player was insane. So I think the last thing we look at here, and actually looking at it, I think the perfect player might have retired from international duty now that he's 31. Let's go to his personal details, and let's go to his nation. Sure enough, he is now retired from international duty at 31, but that would have just happened. So let's see how they did. So looking at world rankings, the Philippines actually got as high as 31st at one point. That's pretty cool. And again, looking at the competitions, the fact that they won a Southeast Asian Football Championship, which if you watched my videos before, that's like impossible to win because Thailand always wins it. But the Philippines have a Southeast Asian Football Championship with the perfect player. But I think even cooler, back-to-back Asian Nations Cup. That is so cool. And did they ever even make the final before then? They didn't. I've actually, in a simulation where I didn't like completely adjust the Philippines, I don't know if I've ever seen them win the Asian Nations Cup. So that is really cool to see that. And I think I saw earlier, let's go to their schedule. I think they saw that they made the World Cup. And they even made the World Cup knockout rounds. Wow. Unfortunately, they lost to England in extra time. The perfect player scoring in that. But we made the World Cup, and there's our Asian Cup final win over and the perfect player getting a hat trick. Oh, what a wonderful sight. We made the World Cup there as well, getting knocked out in the group stage. This was our other Asian Cup final, the perfect player scoring again. 21-40. We actually made and we had a World Cup win. We actually made the World Cup and won. The perfect player really helping lead the Philippines. Oh, and we've done it multiple times. We made the World Cup second round there. This is so cool. Oh, and it looks like those are, yeah, it seems like those were possibly, you know what? We might have had a golden generation there, but we made wow. Oh, we lost 7-0, but we made the World Cup a number of times. And the perfect player did quite well. What? Oh man. This blew away all the expectations I had for the perfect player and what he could do for the Philippines and what he could do in his career. So I think I'm going to leave it there. In 103 years, our perfect player made over 3,000 appearances, scored over 2,500 goals, and he led the Philippines to 2 Asian Nations Cup, the World Cup a number of times. And I think possibly the most impressive thing, he won 65 Ballon d'Ors. Well, that is the perfect player's 103-year career. If y'all would like me to continue with this simulation and see what the perfect player could do in 150, 200 years, let me know. Let me know in the comments because I think this was a really cool simulation. But this is what the perfect player did in 103 years. And overall, it was pretty amazing. But with that, thank you for watching this video. I hope that you all have enjoyed it. This was one I really enjoyed. This was a really fun video. I hope you all are having a wonderful week. I will see you all next time. Bye.